Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about the energy bill of AI. This is the work I did myself along with my colleague TC. So AI is going to kill us all. Ah, scary, wary, woo. It's not going to kill us all. I mean, it just can't do that much harm. It will do harm, but just not that much. The human race has survived so much more that AI is just not going to make a dent on us. You know, we've been through ice ages, we've been through supervolcanoes, we've been through Winston Peters. I'm not afraid of AI causing human extinction. Natural stupidity is a far greater threat to the human race than artificial intelligence is. Now, talking about natural stupidity, somebody thought it was a good idea to dig up all the black burny stuff in the ground and burn it, which is why we have climate change. Now, granted, burning all that black burny stuff has given us the Industrial Revolution and computers and AI, but by now you'd think we'd be sort of moving past it. Unfortunately, we're kind of stuck on that stuff. I mean, just stop oil is a great idea if you don't mind asking about 3 billion people to just stop living. So what does all this have to do with AI? Well, where does the computation for AI happen, especially big AIs, large language models? 1 trillion parameters in ChatGPT-4, Amazon's latest large language model, said to have 2 trillion parameters. You can't run those anywhere but in data centers. And of course, data centers use a lot of electricity, not only to run the hardware, but also to cool the things, because thermodynamics has no sense of humor. So if we look at where the data centers are kept or built, you can see the USA has the lion's share of them, with the rest of them fairly evenly distributed around the world. Here's New Zealand, we're way down the bottom. We're about number 25 in terms of percentage of data centers. So if we look, excuse me, at how the top 5 of those countries generate their electricity, look at how much electricity is being used. 2022, data centers used 460 terawatt hours worldwide. 200 of that was in the USA. It is projected that by 2026, they'll be using 1,000 terawatt hours. That's the same as Japan, like all of Japan. The whole big, bright, flashy, neon-y vending machine country. So if we look at how the top 5 countries for data centers generate electricity, divide into carbon neutral, which is the blue, and fossil fuel, which is the orange, well, the USA does not look good, does it? Now I say carbon neutral there rather than renewable because all of those countries also have nuclear power, especially France, which has really leaned into nuclear power, which is why only 8% of their electricity comes from fossil fuel. And that distribution of generation is reflected in their carbon emissions. USA is not doing well, is it?
1 minute.
Sorry?
1 minute.
1 minute left. New Zealand's about 1/10 that of France. So if we look at New Zealand, it's because of this. 77% carbon neutral, most of which is hydro. But if we look at what we're building, most of it's wind, a big chunk of geothermal and a wee bit of solar. And it's the same for consented. So why aren't we building more hydro? Well, we've basically dammed every river we can, and we don't want to put more reservoirs on top of fault lines. That's a bad idea. So is it enough for us to say move more data centers to New Zealand? No, nowhere near enough. We're just not only are we not building enough, we haven't even consented enough. So what can we as AI researchers do? Well, use local data centers wherever possible. And if it's not possible, don't use ones in America, looking at UAWS. And also as researchers, we need to develop more efficient algorithms. Some work saying they can train these deep networks 100 times faster. We're smart people. We need smarter algorithms. And what we need is more efficient data centers, better hardware, better cooling, and we need a lot more carbon-free generation. So for New Zealand, that means a lot more wind and solar and tidal generation, and for countries like Australia and the US, that means nuclear. I know, nuclear, scary, wary woo. Thank you.
Hi, hello. So my presentation is forecasting hospitalizations using deep learning. So I'm Jiawei Zhao, machine learning engineer from ESR. So,
you stand by the mic or use the mic?
oh, this one.
There are 4 ones, okay.
Oh, this one?
Okay.
Wait, hello? Yeah. No.
Yeah, you just
Oh,
speak.
great. Sure, great, thank you. So let me restart again. And this topic is about the forecasting hospitalizations using deep learning. And I'm Jiawei Zhao from ESR. So briefly introduce what it is. So this is a joint project from Ministry of Health and ESR. So during the pandemic, and the Ministry of Health and the hospitals in local DHBs want to understand how many hospitalizations due to COVID will be in hospitals in the short run of the future, so they can better arrange the resources. And of course, they have a national response team, so they want to understand where is the next pandemic. So because in the first 2 or 3 seasons, the COVID do not show a very strong seasonal pattern. So yeah. And for ESR, of course, this is one of our functions, like public surveillance and public health research, social health research. And of course, we are, another function is the policy development of the health. Yeah. So, great. There are 4 parts: what we are using and how we're using, and the result, and some further explanations of the result. So, model. So this one, you must be very, very familiar. It's called transformer. So the backend technology behind machine translation and a lot of other applications like ChatGPT and Sora. So this is what also we are using, time series forecasting. So it's kind of like a family now. So we have Informer and other variants of time series transformers. So this is basically what we are using. And of course, it is widely used a lot of both in academia and in industry. Yeah, sorry. So what is time series forecasting? So what we do is we put a lot of features into the model, and which we think has high correlations with the COVID hospitalizations. So we put them inside, and the model gives us the future, like 4 weeks forecast of the hospitalizations. Yeah. Of course, time series forecasting has a lot of applications like stock market forecast, energy management, and of course, weather forecasting. Yeah. So I won't go to details for that. So this one, and what features we have, and like what we think is helpful for the forecasting. One is, of course, the COVID admissions itself. It is the strongest. It has the strongest correlations with output, and of course, we have a wastewater surveillance team. So we extract the COVID variants from the wastewater in different catchment, especially in Auckland. So we will. It currently have a very strong correlations with the COVID hospitalizations and COVID cases at the start. And of course, the COVID variants from those COVID in wastewater. So it kind of like we have a proportion of each of the COVID variants. Like now, the current dominant COVID variant is Gen1. And before, like last year, we have XBB and CH1, something like that. Yeah. And of course, the vaccinations, this data is provided by Ministry of Health. So we have 4 or 5 rounds of vaccinations already. So, and it has a strong correlations with COVID administrations because once you get vaccinated, you will have a very low chance to get hospitalized. Yeah. And of course, there are a lot of internal techniques called time embedding, like we use cyclical method, but it's not important. Okay. So there's a building. So you kind of like using a sliding window to kind of like extract the data from the data set, so we can have more and more data set of it. Yeah. So not important. Algorithm details. No. So this is exactly the features we have. Like this is the vaccinations of different rounds, and of course the COVID variants. As you can see, they are different. They have different distributions through time, and this is the model details and the results. So we have a simulation. This dark blue line, it kind of like shows how good the model is. So it's kind of like aligned with quite well with the real data, which is the gray line. And the red line is actually our forecast, which is presented to the Ministry of Health. Yes, 10 seconds. So we also do a feature explanation, so we kind of understand what kind of the feature is the most important, which is not. So we finally found that like the COVID in wastewater and the vaccinations have the strongest correlations with the hospitalizations. Yeah. And last one, this is our team. I would like to advertise it. And great. Thank you so much.
So today I'm going to have a little talk on AI and machine learning. It's an overview at Victoria University of Wellington, and also that's related to the launch and for the Center for Data Science and AI. Also thanks for those people who went to Victoria last year and to have the center launch. This is a picture actually, Nick and this is our Vice Chancellor, and this is the Minister, MB Minister at that time, Aisha Vero. And this is actually the President of IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. So that's launch. And that's our leadership. And myself and Bjorn is here, and Richard and Ivy, and Steve recently joined us as a co-director. And this is our professors and fellows and also Murray leaders. And currently, as you know, Ellie is also here, actually. And we have 2 fellows of Royal Society of New Zealand, 3 fellows of IEEE, and 4 fellows for Engineering New Zealand. This is roughly some of our people, and this is a little picture, random picture, and faculty organized that before the launch. And today, this use actually another 3 minutes to discuss this overview. That's actually very interesting. I didn't realize this is a PDF. And you can see that actually have random pictures that are probably AI generated, right? So this is basically in the middle. We are trying to say this is the research labs or technology themes. And the rim, that's some kind of applications of interdisciplinary research. Of course, and in the middle, we have training and service. And also talk about, and worry about IP and commercialization, Murray and Vision Mataranga or Pacifica. And also we are forming an industry or advisory board. This is so-called the major technology theme, what we would like to do in the fundamental side of AI and machine learning, and including modeling, statistical learning, and we have actually evolutionary machine learning, and later on Bing will discuss a little bit more, and Qi will be discussing more about modeling, statistical learning, and also we have shadowing combinatorial optimization, and Yi and Fang later on will talk more, and then we have a bigger one actually, image and text, signal, and language model processing, this kind of thing. And also we have stream data mining, time series stuff. And we talk about AI and machine learning if we don't talk deep learning, and then we didn't do anything, right? So everyone knows that, but this is one of our directions, but we are not going to do everything deep learning currently people have been doing with, and diffusion and, and transformers or large language models for everything competing with Google, Amazon. We're not going to do that. We are only focusing on those actually related to New Zealand. And another one actually that's probably also related to trust, actually. And Ali, later on, we have a panel discussion there. Interpretable, explainable AI and machine learning or feature selection, there's a lot of aspects. The application side, actually, that's actually the interdisciplinary side. And so what we are going to do for New Zealand. So clearly, we basically say several areas, and primary industry, climate change, and health or medical outcome, and high-tech and high-value manufacturing, including cybersecurity, renewable energy, or stuff. And another aspect is society and public policies, ethics, and Ali is going to talk more in the panel session. This is interdisciplinary, probably between fundamental and applications. That's all areas. That's a lot of other things. And I think I should stop here. I don't use more time for people. Okay, thank you very much.
This is to talk about a possible project, and a project that's actually underway and would like to scale up and involve more people around Aotearoa, New Zealand, and that's AI augmented science. Now, when I say that, you might think that we can just use generative AI to sort of relax, have all our papers written for us, and proceed. And in fact, the evidence is that some people are taking that view. So these are from my students and from Alex Gavrushkin, some examples where it turns out that if you are going to have a language model write your paper for you, you should at least read the first few words of it to check. So that is not what we mean by AI augmented science. So what is science, essentially? It's a very complicated endeavor. It's so complicated, I think, that it's difficult to say that human beings are any good at it. We're better at it than all the other animals, and so we have ruined the world for everyone else, right? But we're terrible at it. We make bad arguments. We have problems with theory maintenance. We're just not good at it. So how can we get better at science? What are the components of it? Well, one is theory development and maintenance, right? Being able to maintain as many of the theories which are justified based on our empirical observations and our background knowledge as possible, as a civilization and as a set of holders of knowledge. There's taking those theories and integrating them and applying them well in application domains, taking into account as many of the possible consequences of those applications as possible. And then there is laboratory and field research where we get observations which, if we were doing science right, would be carefully integrated into the theories and then used for applications. And this leads to productivity and impact and this beautiful vision of New Zealand in the future that Dali came up with. We recently proposed a research program in this area where what would it take actually to apply the current state of the art of artificial intelligence, including of course, language models, including reasoning with language models, and getting better at that, but also including systems of knowledge maintenance, like logic, which have turned out, and mathematics, which have turned out to be very effective when they've been applied by human beings so far. And then how do we actually have systems which can interact with those theories to provide reliable and helpful scientific advice to people who want to apply it. Here are, if you're interested, go to Google Scholar or something. Here are some papers from the Strong AI Lab at the University of Auckland, part of the Natural, Artificial and Organizational Intelligence Institute, where we've been chipping away at areas of this. So chipping away at areas of automated science. There's automated reasoning, theory formation, scientific process automation, and actually fundamentals of large language models so that they can be better at doing things like science. So why should we do this in Aotearoa, New Zealand, right? Well, part of it is that we can, if we put our minds to it. We're technically and scientifically sophisticated. We tend to be somewhat entrepreneurial. Perhaps the best reason is that we've got a small population, right? So in this room, many of the people, most of the people perhaps who claim to be working on artificial intelligence. So we need more experts. We're often blocked by the lack of expertise. So if we can spin these up by automation, we'll do well. And we have relatively low automation risk. We have a potential to rapidly deploy something system-wide because the science system is relatively small. And I'd like to hope that AIRA might be the core of our leading in this area. Okay, I'm done.
Good morning, everyone. So it's great to be here. I'm going to quickly talk about the research project that I've been involved in it now for around a decade. So starting from my PhD, and now it has led to some more hands-on and then hopefully the commercialization. So the project is about the speech reconstruction for Glottis impairment. There's now currently is a non-invasive machine learning and a speech processing framework to it. So now just the main idea can be categorized as a bionic voice. So 30% of the adults experience voice problems at some point of their lives. So broadly, we can categorize that to dysphonic speech and aphonic speech. So dysphonia is a common following the range of disorders, including neurological diseases, cancer, surgery, infection, or age-related decline. Or if you are a lecturer or teacher, that also might happen to you. And so aphonia is the total loss of the voice, which is following the surgery or diseases, mainly the human papillomavirus. And so it actually, as you know, so the speech is the one that we always use to communicate with all the advances that has been made. Still is the main means of communication that we use. And then, so when the speech is not there, then it actually has a negative impact on the quality of life, socially and occupationally. What are the current methods used? So one of them is the esophageal speech. So that's using, so those people affected learn to use the stomach contractions to generate the glottis excitation that is needed, but mainly it's difficult to learn and is unnatural, but intelligible speech would be generated. The other one is the tracheoesophageal speech, or TEP, which actually, so it requires maintenance and frequent cleaning. So the main idea here is that they create another hole, so it would be two surgeries, one surgery for the cancer, the other one is now creating a small hole to rejoin esophagus and trachea. And the third one is the electrolarynx, so most of you saw, probably just have seen that. It's a razor-sized device for resonating the vocal tract, but the issue is that, so it's a mechanical sounding and it's monotonous. Then the idea here is that the framework, using the speech processing and machine learning, so to come up with some computational solution to address those issues that currently is there with the current rehabilitation methods. So one of them using the speech processing would be the codec-based systems. So just to analyze the speech, we know that the fundamental frequency or pitch is not there because the glottis is not working, and then try to inject pitch. So that is the main idea around the codec-based systems. Then the recently developed systems is based on the machine learning, and for that you need data, and that data is the parallel whisper and normal speech, and they need to be trained together. So then statistical voice conversions, so it started with, so in Japan, and then more recently now is using, it started with GMM, Gaussian mixture model, and now the GAN methods. So, but the issue here is that, an assumption here is that, so they said that the laryngectomy speech is similar to whisper. Why? Because the glottis is not there, the fundamental frequency is not there. But that was not the case. So this is just a block diagram of the framework for the codec-based system. As you've seen, there would be some speech analysis, mainly going for the linear prediction coefficient, then adding pitch, then this one is a training-based, just a very basic training-based system. So we need the parallel data, it goes to the feature extractions, and then generates some models. Then you have the input, and then you will get the output when the model has been trained. So this is the idea there. Then, so just I have some samples if you want. Okay, so it's 1 minute. So just use, oh, sorry. So the difference here is, now, for example, that is the main speech.
This was easy for us.
And that is the whisper.
This was easy for us.
And so that is the input to the model, and so that is the output from that whisper speech, which actually.
This was easy for us.
So that has been generated. This is based on a GMM methods. So, but yep, moving to the next.
This was easy for us.
Then, yeah, I'm now just currently working with the Auckland Voice and Swallow Clinic. So we, yeah, we collected the samples from 40 patients. And then, so these are different levels of the patients. So severe, moderate, mild. And then also we collected from native speaker, 10 speakers. So the age range is 23 to 78. The main issue here is that, so their speech is not similar to whisper. And then, so there are lots of the analysis ongoing with one of my doctorate students, and also the reconstruction challenges. So if I can just play this one as my last thing here, that is the laryngectomy, one sample of laryngectomy. And probably you can't hear anything. It's totally different from the whisper speech, which is the assumption for all the systems that have been developed there. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chen. I'm from Center for Data Science and AI at Victoria University. Today, I would like to introduce with you about evolutionary symbolic regression and modeling. So symbolic regression is a machine learning technique that aims to discover some mathematical expression that can best describe a given data set. So different from traditional regression, which aims to find optimal coefficients for a given models, symbolic regression aims to determine the model structure and coefficient at the same time. And the good thing of symbolic regression is it does not make a strong assumption about the data distribution or the underlying relationship. And thanks to this very good nature, from this example here, we can see compared with some traditional linear regression here and polynomial regression here, our symbolic regression model can generate some complex model which can be nonlinear or can be discontinuous. And these models are typically very difficult for traditional regression techniques to find. Another important point is it can evolve and adapt the model structure based on the given data. And this will allow to the discovery of some previously unknown relationship. And genetic programming is a typical technique for symbolic regression, GP. It's a biologically inspired machine learning techniques to evolve computer program to solve complex problems. So GP is based on Darwinian's evolution and natural selection. Well, better perform program will have some better chance to be selected for reproduction and mutation. So GP works by maintaining a population of solutions which are typically represented as a tree or graph. And this population will later go through an evolutionary process consist of evaluation, selection, reproduction, or mutation. And this iteration will continue until some stopping criteria has been met. And at the end of the evolutionary process, GP for symbolic regression going to generate some interpretable and accurate model for prediction, for knowledge discovery, for system identification. So symbolic regression has a broad area for applications, including but not limited to the example we have given here. So it can be used for modeling and controlling engineering systems. It can be used for analyzing environmental data for predict how the climate change impact our ecosystem. And physics, symbolic regression also has been used to discover new mathematical equations directly from empirical data. It can also use in biological application for drug discovery. So recently we found symbolic regression is also have a significant potential for effective computing, particularly for modeling valence or arousal in continuous expression analysis. And these two dimensions actually are very important to understand and recognize human emotions. And with symbolic regression, we have the potential to identify or discover the mathematical relationship between facial expressions and valence and arousal level. So this has very important application in many different areas, such as emotion recognition in human computer interaction or mental health monitoring. We're also working on symbolic regression for sentiment analysis with text data. With symbolic regression, we can generate some interpretable model that can directly map textured features to sentiment outcomes. And we can see symbolic regression offers some promising approach for effective computing. With it, researchers and practitioners in the area can develop applications that are more accurate and sensitive to human emotion. But at the same time, we also meet several challenges. For example, as we know, emotions are some subjective experience. Our symbolic regression model need to be adaptive to consider individuals' distance or cultural difference. So we also need to pay more attention about how the important ethical and privacy consideration regarding collecting and analyzing this data. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I suppose this is the last presentation for the morning session. And of course, 5 minutes is a very stressful way to present for every speaker. I'll try not to be so stressed. And I'll talk about one area that we develop at the moment, which is called spatio-temporal learning, spatio-temporal associative memories. And we can see that these spatio-temporal associative memories not only are the basic fundamental principle of the human brain, but also they can be implemented in artificial intelligence systems for early prediction of events. What is spatio-temporal learning? When we use both spatial information and temporal information to build a model, not just one or another. What is spatio-temporal associative memory? Well, we built a model with variables over time, spatio-temporal, but we can recall this model only on part of the variables and part of the time. So we can actually predict events over time if we have such a system. So we can see that this principle, of course, is everywhere in the world, from the atoms to the molecules and mainly to the human intelligence. And human intelligence is based on associations between different inputs, different signals, different modalities. Can we build such systems that learn through association all the time and predict future events. And we can see that the inspiration comes from the bioneurosystems, from the proteins that have spatial distribution over time, to the brain that always learns through associating inputs to other information that is already run. And recalling the brain is also association of new inputs to already existing one. Mathematics are very weak for spatio-temporal associative memories. And of course, there are some clustering, there is some vector-based neural networks, and the chaos, of course. You have to have the formula to predict the event in space and time. But we don't have the formula in the data. And we can use spiky neural networks that capture time and space within their structures. And such spiky neural networks can be used to build such associative memories. And we have developed one system which is called NewCube, inspired by the human brain structure. And the NewCube can perform spatio-temporal associative memories because once connections are created in the system, they can be recalled on partial information. It's called polychronization. We always predict events, and we can do that in our systems, and this is the NewCube that we have developed. We can use this for predicting neuroimaging ahead. We can predict multimodal data, using multimodal data to predict onset of dementia and Alzheimer few years before, because that's a longitudinal data and we have space and time learned in the model. And at the moment, we also explore multimodal audio-visual data, for example, training on both audio and visual information. And we can use only one of that modality to recall the object. There is also a project with Singapore that we develop multimodal data for predicting psychosis, onset of psychosis, few months or a year ahead, using multimodal data like cognitive, social, and we have also some experiments on integrating text with time series for predicting financial events. Of course, multisensory information is interesting to integrate over time, and multisensory information comes from different sensors in space, and they produce data over time. And if we train one system on multiple sensors, and we can recall this system only on few signals from some sensors on a shorter time. So that is the beauty of spatio-temporal associative memories. And I would say that at the moment, we're working on several projects. One is predicting, as I said, dementia. The other one is using multisensory information to control or to detect abnormalities in human behavior at home for elderly people, for people with dementia. And another interesting application, we are talking with agriculture, to agri-research to predict the state of animals based on multisensory information, predicted only if some sensors are activated at a shorter time period of time. Of course, predicting earthquakes is a big issue. Maybe we can also talk about that later. Thank you.